Hey guys, this is Frank Speer, and I want to talk to you today about writing a solo. How to write a solo using a method that I've spoken about previously in one of my other videos. And I basically call it the octave method, or the octave line method. It's basically taking the first 6 or 7 notes. You could do 3 notes, you could do 2 notes, you could do 5 notes. But taking the first 6 or 7 notes of any particular scale, repeating that in octaves, in 3 octaves up the fingerboard, and then using those notes and those patterns to create lines for your solos. And then diving into the all-famous pentatonic scale now and then, whenever we want to give us more of that blues rock kind of feel. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first 7 notes, or the 7 notes of the Phrygian scale, or Phrygian mode, and that is basically the 3rd mode of the diatonic major scale. Now, if you don't understand all of that, it doesn't matter. Use any scale you like. This will work with any scale. It'll work with major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, a major scale, a minor scale of any sort, dominant scales, mixolydian, all the modes as well. So just briefly for a second, let me say that the 3rd mode of, let's call of G major, is B Phrygian. Okay, and all that is the G major scale notes mixed up, jumbled up in a different pattern. An easier way to say it is it's the notes of the G major scale beginning from its 3rd, beginning from B. So we're playing the same exact notes we would play in G major: G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, back to G. We're just starting on B, and we're playing B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. And we're kind of calling B home base, even though we're playing the notes of the G major scale. We're not playing B major, we're playing G major starting from B. And when we do that, we get a particular combination of intervals. So for example, if I start from B and I play the notes of the G major scale, I get my first 2 notes are B and C. So I get that half step interval, that minor 9 or minor 2nd interval right away, which is different from the major scale, G major. Because if I play the G major scale starting from G, I get G to A, which is a major 2nd away. So there's that difference between the major 2nd and the minor 2nd. So when I started on B and I play the notes of the G major scale, right away I get something funky and cool, something different from the major scale. I get a pattern that gives me that minor 2nd. The 3rd note is a minor 3rd, as opposed to the major 3rd in the G major. So I get this in G major. In G major starting from B, or B Phrygian, I get this. The 2nd set of notes give me, they give me a perfect 4th, a perfect 5th, and a flat 6. So now I get, as opposed to, I get, okay? And then I'll add the dominant 7th in there, or the flatted 7th. So in major I would get, in Phrygian I get. Now I'm going to take that particular mode, and I would get all 7 modes by playing the notes of the G major scale starting from G, play the notes of the G major scale, then start it from the 2nd note of the G major scale, A, and play the notes of the G major scale from A to A, then from B to B, from C to C, from D to D, and so forth, and so on. And I would get 7 modes or ways to play the G major scale. Now, if I took each one of those modes and developed chords from every note, in other words, if we're taking B Phrygian, and I took each note, B, and I made a chord out of it by skipping every other note, right? That's how we get our chords. So if I take B, skip the next note, which is C, take the D, all right, that D gives me a minor third, skip the next note, which is the fourth, take the next note, which is the fifth, I get a perfect fifth, and so that gives me a B major chord as my one chord. I do the same with every note of the mode. I take the second note of the mode, which is C, skip the next note in the scale, right, which is D, take the next note, which is the fourth, right, and that is my E, and that gives me a major third as opposed to a minor third for the first chord. So my second chord is going to be major. Okay? So my first chord in B Phrygian is B minor. Okay? I might have said B major before by accident, but it's B minor. Okay? My second chord is going to be a C major chord. And so on up the scale. So I get a whole new set of chords, 7 different chords from each mode. And then I can solo over those chord progressions that I develop from those modes using that particular mode. So I'd make a B Phrygian chord progression, and then I'd solo over that using the B Phrygian mode. Now, back to what I originally wanted to say. Let's get back to our creating of a solo. I'm going to create a B Phrygian lick rather than a B Phrygian chord progression. And I like licks better than I like chord progressions. And I like to solo over the licks. So the bass player and the drummer, or with a rhythm guitar player or a keyboardist, could be playing this lick I develop, and then I'll solo over it using that mode. So let's just take the root, the second, because those are the cool notes, the notes that make this mode different. The root, the flat second, right, and the flat 7, and create something like... And then we'll maybe add in, well, what I played there was the root, the flat second, the minor third. And then we'll add in the flat 7. I'm sorry, there's the flat 7. That was the minor third. So we'll get... that as our pattern. Now I've already recorded that with bass and drums and guitar as a rhythm track, and then we're going to use those 7 notes repeated in 2 octaves. So we'll add the 7th in here and there. So I'm just taking that, let's just take the first 6 notes. Repeat it up an octave. Repeat it up another octave. And let's develop a solo using that, lick by lick. Now I have nothing written, so I'm going to wing ideas on the spot. This is not to write a solo set in stone, this video. It's to show you one way to approach solo writing. It's an easy way. Pick a scale, pick a mode, create a riff based on that scale or mode, or a chord progression based on that scale or mode, and then take that mode or scale and write your solo lines. And what I'm going to try to do is for each bar or each measure or two, write tiny little melodies that I like. And then I string them together to become my solo. So let's just play around with that. And while the music's playing, I'll talk over it and we'll play around with it and you can get the idea. And we're just using those 7 notes of the B Phrygian mode. And I like this mode because it's darker sounding, quirkier sounding. Here we go. Now see there, I just made that up on the spot. But that's the 4th I started on. 5th. So all I did is play with the notes of the scale. The 4, the 5, the flat 6. And that's 7. Maybe we do that in octaves. Now there I played rhythmically with something cool. All I'm doing is playing with the... But the rhythm is giving me the coolness. And it's endless ways to do it. I can burn it. That's the same pattern up higher. That's just my phrasing of the same notes. Now maybe I'll take the notes and bend them. I know that I can go from this G, right, which is the flat 6, and bend it to the A, which is the 7. I can take the A and bend it to the B, which is the root. Take the B and bend it up to the C, which gives us that flat 2. I'm just winging it here. Did some hammer-ons by taking 3 notes from the mode and tapping on the 4th note, the next highest note in the mode. It's all about the phrasing and the rhythms that you do, right? Think of something. Just alternate picking muted. That gives me one sound. I might do more legato lines like without using the pick really much at all. I added in some weird chromatic notes there. And you can do that too, add in the notes in between the notes, right? And so... just make sure you land on the ones that are in the mode, right? So I can almost play anything to give a weird kind of phrase as long as I land on good notes that are inside the mode or scale, right? So it might be something like... Then try to be melodic. Try motifs. In other words, play a specific line, then play a line right after it that's similar. Right? So maybe something like this. Those are all the notes out of that mode. space. Don't always fill it up with notes. Let a note hang for a while. String skip. Skip strings. Right? So instead of, how about, that's how to key. No charge for the mistakes. That's how we do it. Take a scale, your favorite scale, pentatonic stuff. We could have thrown some pentatonics in there. I didn't do it. But we could play the B minor pentatonic scale since B Phrygian is a B minor scale. It has a flat third in it. We could take the B minor pentatonic scale and throw in some of those cool Phrygian notes and just play around with that scale we all know and love. Like this. Now we've got that C in there, a flat second. Not right here. There's that flat two. So we could use all our standard blues licks, you know. Throw in some weird notes. Alright, so like throw in the C. Throw in the flat 6, which is the G. How about this? That's basically the B, which is what the scale we're in. With the flat 2, the C. Then the flat 6, the G. With the 5th, the F sharp. So we got the root, the flat second, the 5, and the flat 6. Check out the cool sound. Well, I hope you learned something in this lesson. Soloing can be incredibly inventive, just in this manner. Take one scale, one mode, create a lick, or a chord progression if you want. Two chords, 3 chords, 5 chords. We could have played a B minor to the 4 chord. We could have made that 4 chord an altered chord like a 9 or a 7. We can play around with it any way we want. And then take that mode and use it in octaves. 1, 2, 3 octaves. To create melodic licks. Leave space. Use techniques like hammer-ons and bends to bend to the notes that are in the mode. Leave space, create melodic singable lines. You take solos from Randy Rhoads, You take solos from Neil Schon. You take solos from, I don't know, name any famous rock player. Joe Satriani's first few albums. Something like that. So singable. You take something like Van Halen's Running with the Devil. You never forget those lines. I mean, it's cool to go, that's cool too, here and there. And Van Halen did a lot of that. But you want people to remember your solos. They're like little songs inside the song, right? In my humble opinion, much better. Somebody's going to remember something like... Much easier they're going to remember somebody flailing around, which you throw in for spice now and then. I'm Frank Speer. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for taking the time to watch. I really appreciate it, and I know you got a lot to do in your life, and to watch one of my videos, it really means a lot to me. There will be a couple links down below to my album, my Now Playing album, as well as to the book I wrote, all about guitar playing. Anything to do with guitar playing, from anecdotes, jokes, mini biographies, all about picks and strings and custom guitars and store-bought guitars and music stores and buying guitars online, and music theory and how to do this stuff, and on and on. It's like an encyclopedia of guitar playing called Thoughts from a Guitar Player. You'll find the link to the Amazon